Hi guys, Tiffany Robinson here from Beyond RCM Revenue Cycle Management here in the beautiful state of New York. And if you are tuning into this video today, you are tuning into part 2 of a summer series that I have dubbed Medical Billing and Coding for Newbies. And before I continue any further, for everyone who is checking out our video today, I want to encourage you to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and ding the notification bell, or as my husband likes to say, hit the notification bell, so that you can get alerts every time we put out a new video. I also want to start off by thanking everyone for all the tremendous feedback that we have been getting on our first video, which was titled Certification Matters. And if you're checking out the channel for the first time today and you are a new MBC, I want to encourage you to go back after you watch this video and check out our first video called Certification Matters. In that video, I talk about the different organizations that provide certification for MBC and which are the better organizations for new MBCs. So today we're going to delve into a different topic. We're going in a flow here, and today's topic is going to be called breaking into the industry. So once you become a certified MBC, what's next, right? What's next is you want to get your foot in the door. You want to get your first position. In these videos, I talk a lot from a retrospective perspective based on my experiences breaking into the industry. And I also give advice as a director of revenue cycle management and a business owner 24 years later. So I am hoping that based on the lessons that I've learned throughout my career, combined by my knowledge and expertise as a mentor, as a business owner, that it will help MBCs to chart their career in a field that I find to be very dynamic and has tremendous amount of opportunities. But one of the things that you are going to have to get in your mind when you're starting out as an MBC is that in order for you to break into the industry, unless you got the hookup, you are going to have to be persistent, okay? Now, I remember when I first started out, and I talked a lot about this in my first video, I had many thoughts of grandeur. I thought I can get a certificate. I thought I could work from home. I thought I would be able to work from home and have a family. And the reality is the perception of what was being sold to me in the newspapers and the reality of the opportunities that were presented to me once I became certified was drastically different. And I had to come to the realization real quick that if I wanted to one day have my own business, it kind of wasn't going to happen right away. But guess what? 24 years later, I can tell you that eventually I did start that business and I did get to work for myself. So that's a bonus, right? But it took many steps in between that for me to get to this point. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about the steps to get to this point. So when you graduate, you're going to want to land your first position, but you will soon find that in order for you to get your foot in the door, that you are going to have to overcome certain hurdles. I am going to provide you with, I believe, 4 tips, practical tips that will help you along this journey. And the first tip that I'm going to give you is be persistent. Do not be easily discouraged. When I started out in this field, I can't tell you how many interviews that I went on. Interviews where I bombed, if I'm being honest. Interviews where I did really well, like I did my research, I knocked it out the park, I answered every question. Interviews where, I had hiring managers literally tell me that, we'd like to give you a chance, but, you're pregnant and we don't know if you're going to come back once you have the baby. So my foray into the industry was met with a lot of disappointment and closed doors. And had I not been persistent about there is no plan B, this is either going to have to work or it's going to have to work. Had I not had that mindset of failure is not an option, I wouldn't be here today. So the biggest nugget that I can give to any new MBC is be persistent. Do not be easily discouraged. Know that the door may not open right away, but if you keep knocking on that door, eventually it will open. As a millennial, one of our biggest downfalls is we're like a microwave generation. We want instant results. Well, I find that the generations coming up after us, they want even quicker results. And the reality is, when you're breaking into this field, people may not realize your potential right away, but you have to realize your potential. You have to get yourself back up every time you get a no. You have to be encouraged. So do not be easily discouraged. Be prepared for the long haul. The second tip I want to give you is internships, people. Internships work, okay? So told you about no one wanting to hire me back in 1998, couldn't get a job, had an employer basically tell me why they weren't gonna hire me. And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna try to do an internship. I went to one of our local hospitals. I went to the volunteer department, filled out the paperwork, interviewed, told the person interviewing me what I went to school for and the type of department that I would like to try to work in. And they placed me in the OBGYN department. And I volunteered in that department 4 days a week until I was like 9 months pregnant. And you know what? And 7 weeks after I gave birth to my son, that very same hospital hired me in what would become my first medical billing and coding position. So do not look down on an internship. Do not look down on investing free time with an employer, because number one, it's a great place for you to get experience that you can put on your resume. And it's also a place where you could potentially get a job as an MBC. So I am a big fan of internships. I recommend every entry-level MBC take the time to do an internship. If you're working a job right now, try to see if you can do an internship once a week. It's going to help you build experience. It's going to help you build your resume. The next piece of advice that I want to give you is be willing to start off in a different department. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes when MBCs start out in the industry, they want to work at a company that's going to put them right in front of an EMR system, an EHR system, and have them billing claims. And me personally, I always gradually bring MBCs up. What do I mean by that? I want to make sure that you can handle a collection call appropriately. Then I want to make sure that you can register a patient and select the proper insurance correctly. Then once you demonstrate proficiency in that, then I'll start letting you enter claims into the system. Very rarely do I let a new MBC start out the gate doing billing, because billing there's so many different pieces. There's making sure that the CPT code is accurate, making sure that the ICD-10 code is appropriate, making sure if you're billing certain codes that it's appropriate for the patient's age. And those things you learn over time. You don't necessarily learn those things in school. So oftentimes I will start an MBC off in different areas before I allow them to bill a single claim. So when you are breaking into the industry, have the mindset of being willing to start out in different areas. Why? Because if you get hired, for example, in the authorization department of an organization, you can then go and have a conversation with the billing manager and say, I'm really trying to break into medical billing. Do you think that maybe I can volunteer a couple hours a week once my shift is over? Oftentimes that billing manager will give you an opportunity, because we always need help in billing. And by that, getting that opportunity, A, you got your foot in the door with the organization, and then B, you can then start to get the experience you need to then build your career. So do not despise humble beginnings. Be willing to start elsewhere within the medical office with the mindset of, I'm going to parlay this into getting into the billing department eventually. And you know what? Even if a position doesn't open up in that organization, if you are exposed to it, if you are learning it, you could then take those skills when you transfer onto your next position. So be strategic. Because when you break into this industry, I always say that it's 3 parts. It's 1/3 what you learn in school. It is 1/3 how you set yourself up for success to get your foot in the door. And then it's 1/3 your ability to acquire all the experience, because there's certain things that you will learn in school that will be beneficial to you when you get on the job, but there's certain things that you're not going to learn unless you're actually working in the field. And in order for you to differentiate the two, you're going to need that common sense to set yourself up for success. So be willing to start in other areas of the RCM industry. The other thing I want to point out is when you are interviewing, my third nugget, when you are interviewing for an MBC position, do your research. Remember, you are entry level. You do not have a fancy resume to woo the employer. So you know how you're going to woo the employer? You're going to woo the employer by showing them that you did your due diligence on their organization, the type of services that they provide, the CPT codes that are often billed. You're going to woo the employer by letting them know that, you understand how their organization functions, the services that they provide to the community that they serve. You are going to sell yourself on your ability to absorb information and then articulate that information in an intelligent way. When I am interviewing new MBCs, I want to see that they've done research on the company. They understand what the company does. They understand the scope of services, the specialty. So set yourself up for success. Do not go on an interview and think that an employer is going to be impressed by the fact that you had a 90 average when you went to billing school. Not it, okay? They're going to want to see that you researched their organization and you came to play, you came to learn, you came to be a part of their team. And then my final nugget is, once you are fortunate enough to get that position, because you will get that position, I am an optimist, I believe in positive thinking. Once you get your foot in the door, it is up to you to keep your foot in the door. Getting hired as a newbie MBC does not guarantee job security. You know what guarantees job security? Setting yourself up for success. I can't tell you how many of these I have. I mean, I don't only take notes in marble notebooks. I also have computerized notes. But my point is, all throughout my career, every time I have acquired new knowledge, I have always taken notes. I always write down what I'm learning. And one of the biggest mistakes that newbie MBCs make is they walk into a position, a manager is showing them the ins and outs and nuances of the position, and they are not writing anything down. Nothing makes me more annoyed, okay? I'm just putting that out there. Set yourself up for success. Take detailed notes. A lot of organizations are not going to take the time to hold your hand and be repetitive. They're going to tell you something once. They might tell you it twice. By the third time, if you can't retain that information, you're out of there. So it's up to you to set yourself up for success. Take detailed notes so that you can go back and defer to those notes when you get stuck. Familiarize yourself with different forums like CMS, your local Medicaid, your local private payers. Familiarize yourself. Sign up for their newsletters so that you're always in the know of what's going on in the industry from an operations perspective, okay? It's up to you to be able to grow within your career. Don't put that on an employer. Put that on yourself, because the employer is going to want to know that if I give you this chance and I give you the tools for success, you're going to take the ball and run with it. Are you going to take the ball and run with it? That's what they want to see. And those are my 4 tips for breaking into the industry. Pack your patience when it comes to getting your first position. Internships are the move, okay? Research an employer that you are seeking a position with so that you can sell yourself appropriately. And once you get your foot in the door, set yourself up for success. And those are my tips. Those tips worked for me. And you know what? If they worked for me, I know that they can work for you too. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. Again, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell. Thank you so much for taking the time. My name is Tiffany Robinson. I am from Beyond RCM, and I wish you the best of luck in your career journey. Bye.